Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today let's take a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Empire Strikes Back Imperial Probe Droid. And it wasn't until I got this that I thought, oh, it's been a little bit since I looked at a Hasbro Star Wars figure. I got some Bandai stuff in January, but it hasn't been since Christmas Day that I looked at the Heavy Mandalorian. I was starting to get the hibernation sickness shakes. But Toy Fair's this weekend. We're gonna see more stuff. We know the 40th anniversary stuff's coming. We got some waves coming in, but this may do me till then. Looking at the box, it is actually bigger than I thought it would be. I saw it and it was like, whoa, what? Here it is compared to standard packaging, so it does deserve its deluxe designation. On the front, the window, it shows what you get in there. It is kind of dark, but I like the red, and I feel like this being Imperial, it should be a little bit dark, cloaked in shadow. Star Wars The Black Series logo, 40th anniversary, the nice throwback Empire Strikes Back logo down here. I kind of miss that. And then, of course, the usual drawing. It looks a little bit, I don't know, it's not the focus of the packaging, you know, it's just kind of stuck back there. But it's the trash between me and plastic, so who cares? On the side, D3. On the back, that drawing again, but taking up much more prominent space. You get the Imperial Probe Droid bio. Warnings in many a language, don't put it in your mouth. On the other side, the usual text, Imperial Probe Droid, and then the big font going across, Droid. On the top, empty like our wallets. On the bottom, a bunch more legalese, more, well, that's telling what the accessories are. Figure and display stand. But let's get this open, see what's going on here. I keep thinking that's a loose part right there, but that's actually a band that is not wrapped around it, holding it in. Oh, look at that. That is just terrible packaging. I'm just kidding. That's one less thing I have to cut. Like here, and like here, and like here. Ooh, that's nice. Rod. And then in the back of the packaging, well, besides the, what is this, more warnings? Definitely don't put it in your mouth. And then on the insert, we have a snow base. Okay, I don't seem to see any instructions unless I'm missing them somewhere, but the rod has two different ends. It has a peg end that's just kind of a cylinder going to a smaller diameter at the end, but then the other end has an actual ball looking piece, which you would think goes into the actual droid itself so you can get some movement on it. I don't think that's the case, because at the base, you try to put just the peg, it doesn't go. You try to put the ball, and it actually sticks down in there. But once it's seated, there's no movement. It's just a boop, straight up and down. Then you put the regular peg here, I guess to make it easier to pull on and off. They made the bottom a ball, so it stays, well, it stays in there a little bit better. But then this is easily removable at the top. Maybe? And for something that, for those of us who don't play a lot of the video games or pay attention to every little background thing in the movies, this is Empire Strikes Back Imperial Probe Droid. Oh, well, another place I've seen this recently is Jedi Fallen Order video game. It's very prominent there. You're shooting them down, they're flying around. But my memory of this always goes back to Hoth, and seeing it here in 3D form in 6-inch scale, ooh, they've done a pretty good job of getting all the pertinent details in there. All kinds of nifty little sculpted details. Even right here, you can see the plates and the sharp edges. I'm looking through the camera and I'm seeing a lot of murkiness, but trust me, there's a lot of detail going on here. Little parts, little pieces. The lenses, I've never really looked into which one of these are an eye, or if they're all eyes and it can see in all directions at the same time, which would be cool. But those are gloss black to simulate, you know, a glossy lens look. But there's also silver in places to show some wear and some tear, and that is not me shaking. I'm not even holding this thing. Because of the length of the rod, you even touch it and it's gonna do that for a minute. The base plastic is kind of a gunmetal, but then you have these red parts punched in very nicely, very sharply. There's also some down here, some right there. Like I mentioned, the silver is thrown in there for some wear and tear, some age. It's been used a lot. But then you look even closer, and I'm gonna try to capture this on camera. There is some brown for some dirtiness or some rust. They've just taken some brown paint and whoosh, slashed in a couple places. It's very subtle, but when you see it, it's like, oh, there's another dimension of age there. And right here, for some reason, it seems to be about the only place I can find it. But there's a white fogginess. It makes it look kind of snowy, but, well, no. It's not even supposed to be on there. Is that some kind of, like the old Mattel stuff that used to kind of fog up with age? Glue residue or something? It does wipe right off when I can reach it, but it's down in that crevice. I thought it was like snow, but it's not. There's another one right there. It doesn't have it. There's one right here, doesn't have it. And it seems to be a separate part that doesn't rotate or anything, but no fogginess there. That's odd. Something that's always caught my eye with the Probe Droid that they perfectly replicate here is the asymmetry of the legs. Don't get me wrong, there's no rhyme or reason for all these lenses up here. Then they throw all kinds of parts and pieces, or kibble, I guess, around the bottom skirt part to throw it off. It's definitely not symmetrical, but it's most apparent in the legs, because, I mean, it's almost just like, hey, just stick them anywhere. We have a deadline, let's go. There's medium-sized, large, small legs, and the way they're just thrown, I mean, these two are on this side, these two are a little bit more spread apart. There's one coming out of the middle right here that kind of gets in the way of the hole. Or when you have the rod in, it kind of limits where you can go with this leg. But at the same time, it's awesome. I mean, that's the design from the movie, so can't grab too much. You see this thing floating at you down a dark hallway, you're gonna be unnerved. What the hell is that? A little bit more sparse with the paint apps, and you can even see the screws here and there, but it's the bottom. Most of the time you're gonna be looking down on it like this or right at the side of it. They did hit silver on the base in places. Down on the actual legs themselves, it's pretty much the base plastic. Well, there's some right there. Going over articulation, this is gonna be kind of weird. The antennas on top, in the package they were down, but you pull them up and there's a kind of a click right there, and then there's a click right there. They don't seem to go quite as high as they did in the movie, but you're also working with just this much space. I keep trying to twist and turn some of these separate parts up here on the top, but none of those seem to move. You do have rotation here up at the head. Then this small part right here on the base, it also swivels. Each leg has a swivel where it attaches to the body. There's that. The two small ones have a hinge right under that swivel, another hinge midway, and then a hinge at the little claw part at the end. Well, the mediums have that same setup too. Base, mid, hand. But then the two large ones have an extra joint in the middle. One thing I've noticed, where it looks like there's little cylinders or shocks, those are a little bit brittle. Pushed in and I felt whoop, and you can see where it stressed the plastic. And then with the small arms, because they are thinner, you're gonna get some bend with the hinges too tight there too. Basically, just be a little bit careful. Put the stand back in, and like I showed a minute ago, it does have kind of a snowy base. It's just basically some tundra painted white. And that does a good job of keeping it upright. Hard to tell just how big it is, but on top of the stand, it stands at 8 inches tall, which puts it quite a bit above your standard figures. Whether you're on Hoth or within the Fallen Order video game, it's hard to get an accurate size from the movie itself. In some places it looks huge, in some places it doesn't quite look that big. Here it is with the Star Wars Black Series TIE Fighter pilot, and then the Bandai SH Figure Arts Darth Vader. Again, good size. I don't know if it's perfect, but it's kind of imposing. Here it is with just a few other Imperial droids, 2 Bandai model kits, the interrogator droid that came with Grand Moff Tarkin, and then a mouse droid from the old 3 3/4 inch line. I don't remember which figure this came with. I did buy the recent 2-pack of Darth Vader and the Imperial Probe Droid in the 3 3/4 inch line, thinking I can fudge that in. It's good enough, it's big enough, it's detailed enough, and while the sculpt and paints are definitely comparable, in fact, one could probably argue that the sculpt from the 3 3/4 inch was scaled up for this line, but I don't know, there's small subtle differences, and then the legs definitely have more detail in this bigger scale. But side by side right here, I realized I was deluding myself by thinking I could fudge this into my display. And then it being the Probe Droid, of course, here it is with Gus. I don't care who sent you, you ain't probing nothing. So at the end of the day, what could be construed as kind of a basic release, damn excited for. I'm gonna have to find more of these because of the Jedi Fallen Order game and how they kind of gang up on you. Sure, it's just a droid sculpt, nicely detailed, more paint than I figured, and then more articulation on top of that. For something that, at least in the original movies, didn't get a lot of screen time, this is definitely going into the display. Holy moly. I mean, it's Imperial Probe Droid. I always laugh when people talk about the new movies and they say, well, I don't need that. That was barely in the movie at all. But me, I'm like, Cantina patrons, bounty hunters, Probe Droid. Give me all of it. It's damn Star Wars. Put it in plastic. Put it in a box. Send it to my house. I'll open it up, put it in my display. Love, care for it. Okay, I'll admit, the newer movie stuff, the background characters aren't near as nostalgic, but give it a couple of years. I'm gonna get to that point where it's like, oh, remember that guy back in the background of that one scene? I'm gonna need him. I will be honest, the original trilogy stuff does excite me a little bit more, and Probe Droid. So if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe, or whatever the platform you're watching this on allows. Much love to the plus if you'd like to see videos early, or you're just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. Shake, 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 shake. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.